Hey, welcome back. So today we're going to quickly run over something to try with Tangzu Shimin Li. For those of you who have it and have used it for a while, maybe you thought that it does sound a bit over dampened. I definitely think the dynamics are quite restricted and it does sound a little bit more over dampened than it should. It just needs a little bit more life to it, a little bit more emotion to it. It kind of feels like they choked the life out of it a bit with the dampers. So that was my feeling on it, and I couldn't really listen to it for too long. So last night, I did end up ripping off the dampers and measuring it. So that's what the red line looks like. So Shimin Li, no damper, probably a little more peaky than anyone will listen to it. But if you have ears of steel, you could probably get away with it, or listen at a lower volume, you could probably get away with it. But I was actually looking for something between no damper and the stock version, which is blue, which is a little bit too dampened. There isn't enough energy right there to make female vocals or really most tracks sound dynamic. It's kind of a weird sound to it. It feels kind of weighty and weighed down and not as energetic as it really should be or as engaging. So as I said last night, I sort of ripped off the damper and started playing with different dampers, Alina and Tanya. Those don't work. Those actually damp even more, so don't do that. So what I ended up doing was pulling off the damper and then and I call this the DownUnder mod because I took it off and then sort of placed it in an offset. So if you look at one side of it, maybe this side, so you can kind of see that this side is actually a little bit too high, so it's actually dragged up a little bit here, and then I pushed this side down under the lip, and I did that so it can have a little air, a little pocket of undampened air to actually breathe a little bit. So you're not going to be able to really see it on camera, but that's why I call it the DownUnder model, because I actually pushed the damper under the lip and pushed it a little bit further under the lip, so there's actually a little air hole there. So you actually do get a little more energy, and those 2 to 4K area pops up a little bit, and it sounds way more dynamic and a bigger sound. It's actually quite nice, but yeah, you do have to. They don't give you any extra damper, so you do have to be a little bit careful with this one. And second thing, I could tell that I have an air pocket there because I can measure it, but you're going to have to do it by ear if you don't have a coupler, and that's a little more difficult. The issue is that the damper itself has a ring of glue around the outside of it. So if you catch the glue on the lip where it's supposed to be, it's a really nice tight seal. But if the edge of the damper catches the edge of the nozzle and it seals against that, even though it's sort of offset and dragged off to the side a little bit, you're still not going to get enough airflow, or there's no real opening there. So I definitely poked at it twice to make sure and then measured it. So I was getting a little extra energy here, which is what you can see with the green DownUnder side. So this one's not super easy. You'll have to either do it by ear or have a coupler or just kind of wing it because you weren't really happy with it out of the box. And instead of putting it in a drawer or selling it, I think you should give this a try. And I think Tony Akros is going to have his version of it. I saw a graph of it. I'm just not sure what he did. But it's not going to shock me that a few people are going to do something similar with the pieces that we have here. And I guess the second thing is I actually use the smaller, not the smaller tip on here, the wider bore tip. It's actually the KB07, probably a little bit too wide for giving you a little more energy here. So I thought adding a little more energy there, plus the smaller bore nozzle actually works out better. In EQ, I would actually put a 2 decibel shelf here because you're putting a little more energy here, and you should probably balance it out with 1 or 2 decibels on the low end. And I think that actually is what I have now. So yet another thing to try. You can try EQ alone. So either way, I would definitely buy Shimin Li, listen to it, and then kind of approach whether you like it out of the box or want to give it a little more life and try something different, like sliding the dampers around or EQ, or maybe something else will pop up as people get to play with it. So hey, thank you guys for tuning in, and I will review this one probably in a few days. So Thanks for watching. See ya.